Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Definitely. I think I might be lying down this time for the therapy
100%.
session. I could talk to Laura.
100%.
Go on.
Can we? I'm sure we'll get it in the shot.
Is this a first? Just give me a
Can
cushion.
confirm you're the first person to lie
no,
down
it's
on that
okay,
couch.
it's
Yeah, remember the name, Jas Takhar, best in the game. Mamba mentality in his own lane, so better pay attention to what he be saying. Get the message, ain't no question, giving advice for any investment. Welcome to the broadcast, the Jas Takhar Podcast.
Okay, and the boys and girls told me we're live, brother. This guest that I have on the couch today, it's long overdue. In fact, I thought he's not only been on the podcast once before. I was thinking he's been on the podcast a handful of times, and the reason I thought that is because him and I have done a lot of content together. We've been in a lot of rooms together, boardrooms, hotel rooms, and now for the first time, a studio. We'll let them in on the hotel rooms. We've taken a lot of trips together and had a lot of fun. For a lot of people, specifically my real estate clients, they might even know who you are because at one point you and I were working very closely together, and you were working with a lot of my clients. And for the people that don't know who you are, I'm sitting with none other than Mr. Anthony Tabar. How you doing?
Very well. Thank you, Jas. Thank you for having me again. Yeah, everything you said is true, man.
I really, once I found out that, okay, you haven't actually been on the Jas Takhar podcast and you didn't see the new studio, I was like, this is a no-brainer. The team was like, oh my God, we're finally going to have Tabar on. So there is some pressure on you okay. Because they want to make you, they want you to make them laugh. I don't know why. He was on the, and that's, if you hear the raspy voice in the background, you guys know who it is, Laura Elto Stewart. He was on, not on the REC Experience, Laura. Yes, he was. There you go. That's where you were on with myself, you, Marlene, and Simos. We did kind of a how like what you need to do to prepare your home for sale, and we were speaking more to sellers. But now that's actually going back. Like some of my guys might be like, what the hell is the REC Experience? Jas Takhar Podcast was formerly known as the REC Experience, but not like that doesn't matter because now you're on this podcast and you're actually in the studio. I wanted to have you on because, as I mentioned, we've done a lot of things together and really in business. And I have this out of the thousands upon thousands and hundreds of thousands of listeners, 50% of them are real estate agents. It's what you do as your day job. That's what you've been doing. What is it coming up to now? Like
16 years.
Yeah, because I know you were just like, I'm going into my 20th. So I know it was like right around that time. I think it's important to talk about how we got connected. And at a time where going into 2024 for real estate agents, they're going to have to make the decision that you made 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we'll touch on that because it's going to get really tough. It's getting more expensive to hold your license as a real estate agent in the province of Ontario. You went through that 16 years ago, which we'll touch on. But I also want to talk to the home buyers, home sellers, the investors, even though the other 50% of my listeners are primarily investors. But, some people might want to know what's going on in the market and stuff like that. We're going to talk about your thoughts of on the market because now you've transitioned into this beast of an agent. You have your own team, and you're I was joking with you. I'm not sure if they can see it on screen, but you have the cup that says LDL, which stands for Leaders Develop Leaders, which also happens to be at the top of the Jas Takhar success table because that's when you are now giving back to not only the industry, but you're giving back to the community and you're trying to scale out, right? Which is really cool to see. And you're doing it in your own special way. But before we kind of go into the market and stuff like that, Anthony, I mentioned the fact that in January of 2024, so a couple of months from this time of this recording, not a lot of real estate agents know in the province of Ontario that all the fees, CREA Real Estate Association, CREA, AREA, TREB dues are all going to be now due at the same time.
Wow.
Okay, and I think the due date of that's going to be like sometime end of January.
Yeah.
Where in the past it's been spread out over the years, so
Yeah.
it was almost like you can make these payments in installments.
Right.
At the end of 2023, I'm going to say there's going to be about 65,000 sales on the Toronto Real Estate Board. We have not seen 65,000 sales happen on the board for a very long time. Okay, now there is two ends to that 65,000, meaning there's always someone who's buying and someone who's selling. So there's 130,000 transactions that happen.
Sure.
Just to give my viewers and listeners some context, we're down essentially from 2022. I think we ended somewhere around that 80,000 mark. 2021, we were north of 100.
Yeah.
Like, that was nuts.
Yeah.
And to be down, call it 35 to 45% now, there's not that much to eat from a real estate agent's perspective. Because if you, again, to put this all into context, 77,000 real estate agents, 130,000 ends. That's like 1.75 deals per real estate agent. But what we know is there's teams like mine, there's teams like yours, where we're doing hundreds of deals. So it's not like the average person is really only doing a deal, right? There's a lot of people who are doing like 0 deals. They're not going to be able to keep that license. 16 years ago, maybe to the date, you were working and making muffins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guilty.
Guilty. You made some damn great muffins, I'm sure.
Cranberry were my bad name.
Muffins.
Yeah.
Right?
They were
That was the
good.
name of the place, or
That
no?
was the name of the place.
That was the name of the place.
Yeah.
I remember walking in Sherway Gardens, just doing my day-to-day thing, shopping or whatever, and seeing you work there.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I didn't even know that you worked part-time, but you were licensed.
Yeah, I was licensed at the time.
And we had a conversation about you jumping into this full-time.
Yeah.
What made you make that jump back then?
I guess it was a combination of both being kind of fed up with the whole 9-to-5 corporate life and the fact that I had you and our mutual friend Simon, who believed in me so much, and you guys kept after me. I mean, I tried real estate full-time before meeting you for a full year. I ended up owing more money to my brokerage than I made that year. So I just thought this would, business-wise, this doesn't make sense. So I went back to work and met Simon and you at the same time. And Simon said, listen, I don't take part-time agents, but I'll give you 6 months to save up 3 months of your salary, and then you come with me full-time. And that 6 months actually turned into a year and a half of me procrastinating and doubting myself until you came into the mall that day. And like, as much as Simon was a great speaker, it was really that talk that I had with you in the mall. I remember sitting on a bench and somebody from my church walked by and said, oh my God, what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I work here. And you're like, that's how easy it is. Like, so many people, like you're wasting your talents in this corporate lifestyle. And you couldn't have been further from the truth. So I really, really do. Every time I talk about myself, which isn't very often, I always say that, like, the way I speak and the way that I think is because of my two mentors growing, when I got into this business.
And I think it's going to be important for us to touch on mentors and why people need to surround themselves, right, with people that are doing what you want to do at a high level. We have a massive sign in our office that says "Success Leaves Clues." There's a picture of Kobe and Jordan.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the first times on the court that Kobe was asking Jordan specific questions on why he pivots on, to his left foot when he's moving a certain way. Like, I've seen a lot of interviews on it. And Kobe learned that really quickly, where he actually wanted to be the next Magic Johnson growing up. But what happened is he realized he wasn't as tall as Magic. Yeah. And then he saw this guy, Jordan, who was kind of similar in height, and Kobe also realized that he wasn't the fastest. He wasn't, his hands are not the biggest hands in basketball. He couldn't jump the highest, but he knew that he could possibly emulate his game to what Jordan was doing, and then he started to reach out to him and just ask questions, and luckily enough, Jordan was willing to give that to him. Hence, the Success Leaves Clues. Now, going into 2024 for some of these real estate agents, what would you tell them that they should be if they're thinking, shit, like I'm not going to be able to afford maybe some of these fees. Maybe I'm on the fence if I should continue being part-time or if I should go full-time. What's your thought? Like what should they be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's all like at the end of the day, your money and how far that will take you is a big, dictator in what you do with your time, right? So, I mean, if you do have the luxury of diving into real estate full time and not having to rely on a part-time job, I would say stop trying to figure it out yourself. You just have to attach yourself to somebody who is doing what you want to do well and absorb as much time as you can with that person without being a thorn in their side.
Well, and what does that mean?
I mean, be helpful. Be as helpful as you can be without getting in the way. You're either what do they say? You're either in the way or you're either
you're either in
or you're either in or you're in the way.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest advice to anybody who's really got ambition on succeeding in this business, especially during this type of a market. You really need to stick to attach yourself to a successful realtor, someone that was willing to give you their time and just eat up as much as you can around that person.
Yeah, look, I talk about it all the time, right? Like if you can't build your own table right now in terms of in the boardroom, bring coffees to that table. Right? Now thoughts?
Yeah, I used to do, I mean, look, the only reason I know what I know is because I volunteered my time. Like, I mean, if we talk about the splits that I was on back in the day.
What were you on back in those days?
My God, do you want to talk about it?
100%, yeah.
I was getting 10%
to do showings
of all the commissions.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm
not just showings.
Yeah.
Then the home inspection.
Yeah, right, got
then
it.
Then the buyer dropping off the buyer's bank deposit. But what that allowed me to do,
you were getting 10% of whatever I was making.
Correct.
Okay.
10%,
and whatever Simon was making, because you were doing it for both of us.
And then don't forget, Roy LePage gets 10% of what I'm making too.
Oh,
so
right.
What was I making? I was making nothing. I was making peanuts. But you guys were doing volume. I was doing 4 of those a month.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So 10% of 40 on a $400,000 purchase.
Yeah.
I was making $1,000 a deal.
100%. Yeah.
And it wasn't pre-con back then. It was resale. So you're getting paid. So
right away.
Yeah. And I came from a very humble place. Like Muffins wasn't paying me big bucks. It's like, okay, let's be honest with each other. Yeah. So my logic was, as long as I can duplicate my earnings from where I was, then I didn't make a bad move. And I think it only took 1 month for me to not duplicate my earnings, and then every month after that was just like there's no turning back. Like this is so much more lucrative. But by attaching myself to you and to Simon and to other senior experts on REC, anytime my friends would call me, oh, what are you up to? Oh, I'm just dropping off a deposit check. Oh, what are you up to? Oh, I'm at a home inspection. I just found some UFI. Like I wouldn't have known those things had I not had the opportunity to do them. And now, 16 years later, I'm able to talk about these things because I had so many more opportunities than if I had just tried to do it on my own.
Yeah, like what I'm hearing, and you're kind of just reminding me of it, right? Which is you stayed in the conversation. Because this business can get lonely really, really quickly, right? So you consistently made sure that you were staying in the conversation, like and to your point about, I did this home inspection, there's this, and I'm dropping off a deposit check, like even small things like figuring out how to open up a lockbox when it's minus 35 degrees, like, and then you have the client above you, like literally while you're trying to open it up, that pressure, like I know it sounds like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But when you're new in the business, you're like, holy shit, I can't even open up this lockbox. I probably look like an idiot. Yeah. But figuring it out, staying in conversation.
Or not just that, I don't want to waste this person's time.
100%.
Like I have to drive all the way here and I can't even open the lockbox. Like, come on. Like,
and then you get a lighter and you try to unfreeze it.
I used to carry hot tea in the car with me, just in case.
Yeah.
And it was, it was awesome that I was able to be in those situations.
Now, I can't remember how you met Simon. Was this a family thing?
Family thing. Okay.
Yeah. So that's obviously a little easier. But to somebody who's listening right now, they get you. Okay, great. need to bring coffees to the table. I'm okay even with the 10% or the 15% to doing all the stuff that you did. How the fuck do I find the person though? Like, how do I actually know? Like, okay, do I just call Jas? Do I call somebody in my market? Like, how does somebody actually go find that mentor?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean,
that's why I get paid the big bucks to ask the questions.
So, listen, like we don't live under a rock. Like Simon wasn't the only family friend I had in real estate at the time. I mean, ask anybody they know. They have 5 people, like their sister-in-law's neighbor, the some people.
That's a real estate agent.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know, even some people are part-time realtors who do this. I wouldn't suggest attaching yourself to a part-time realtor if you want this to be your full-time gig, but. I mean, with social media now, with the presence that people have, like you could see, you follow someone that you admire, or maybe that you like their mindset on how they, handle themselves or carry themselves in the business, and DM them. You know, if they have a mindset like you, if they have a mindset like me, they're going to be open to wanting to develop other people. Like you were saying, like, leaders become leaders. We were making a joke about this mug, but like I've had great years in terms of money. I've beaten my records. I've done that. Now I want, in 16 years from now, I want to sit across, a podcast from somebody and have them tell me that, I speak the way you speak. And these are the goals of mine now. Like I no longer have financial goals that I want to hit. Obviously I have standards I want to hit, I want to keep. But the money is secondary now. It's building more people and leaving this world with as little as it sounds, a small legacy.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I also think that what most people don't understand is that if you want to create like true wealth, make more people rich.
I love that.
Right? And I wish I came up with it. It's not. It's a phenomenal author, philosopher by the name of Zig Ziglar. He has tons of books. Yeah. He knows what the hell he's doing. Is that a book that you recommended to me?
I haven't recommended it yet, but just write it down and please.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm living it.
Yeah, I know you are.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
I can't tell you how much more wealth I've created for myself in my life because I'm just trying to get other people money now. Like, you make money, and that could happen with real estate agents, real estate investors. So to your point, I get the legacy part, but sometimes, and I was just having a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago about this, and not to say that I completely disagree with what you're saying in terms of the legacy part, but even that can wane, right? At times, like if you think about, I think like Prince, for example, he passes away. Some would say he left an amazing legacy, right? But we talked about him on social media for a couple of weeks and we kind of forget about it, right? Where I think while we're here to have an effect on other people and their lives, man, you will have way more than you ever dreamt of. And so the path that you're going down, brother, is definitely cool to see, but I think you're going to win because it's not all about you anymore. Where I think in the past, and I'm speaking for myself as well, like when we were in those boardrooms together, because we didn't have an office, you and I. We just snuck into a boardroom and made that our office for a couple of years. We would talk about things and it was really about us at that time. And, I think everybody has to go through it, right? I just hope people catch on to the fact that make it about other people as soon as possible. But even back then, it was really about, like, how can we make more money? How can we build a big business? How can we have more clients? Like, do you remember those kind of conversations?
I do.
Am I far off by?
Not at all, no. And in fact, the one thing I remember the most, and the one thing people used to ask me all the time, like, why are you on a team? Why are you on a team? And I really enjoyed the culture. I really enjoyed being around like-minded people. Sure, after I would, go pick up a deposit check from somebody and go drop it off at another brokerage. That doesn't sound like it's such anybody with a driver's license can do it. But as soon as I was done, I was driving right back to the office so I can absorb more around you and Simos and Simon and, just the gang. Like we I used to love going down to Boardroom 8. Remember Boardroom 8 at Starbucks?
Yeah.
I used to love those times because this was you guys having real life conversations on your free time that always seemed to, revolve around real estate. And it was just, I was around it all the time, which I loved, and I'm a big believer in the saying, like you can give somebody a fish and they'll eat for a day, or you can teach somebody to fish and they'll eat for their life. And that's really the way that I looked at it.
Talking about eating, if you hear a little sound, it's Laura eating some food with the microwave. Alto does her thing. She's always eating. Everybody knows. Yeah, girls gotta eat. It's funny that, we mentioned Simon's name a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I never really have had somebody on the podcast that's known Simon as long as I've known him.
Yeah.
Obviously the team around us now, like Laura's known Simon for a while, I don't know, I think it was maybe 8-9 years. Even Simos, like he knew him for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
There's only actually one person that's known Simon the exact amount of time that I knew him, and it's you. What did he mean to you? And rest in peace. Like he meant a lot to a lot of people, but you and I really got to see, we really got to experience being close to him. And I know if that shit is true, that after you die and all that kind of stuff, you're like, he's looking down, he's laughing his ass off right now. Like,
sure
look at these two fucking idiots.
For
Like,
sure
what the fuck
Yeah.
are these guys doing on a podcast? Yada, yada.
Absolutely.
And because I know a lot of, people do know what he meant to me. I want to know, what do you mean to you, brother?
Yeah, so when I said family friends, I had never met him before. I was literally at one of my cousin's engagement parties. My uncle heard me complaining about Remax. I'm sorry, Remax. Sorry for that. But heard me complaining and said, oh, you should talk to my friend's son-in-law who wasn't at that party. And I can't tell you, I can't even count on two hands how many times people had given me a business card and said, oh, you should call this guy, and you should call this guy, and you should, and I'm not kidding. Simon's card probably sat on my dresser in my bedroom for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before I actually did anything about it. And I don't know what it was. It was fun. One morning I woke up, I was fed up. I saw his business card. I'm like, you know what, maybe I will try calling this guy. I called him, and immediately there was just this charisma that he had on the phone that just won me over. It won me over. I'd never known him, and our first meeting, we clicked right away, and something about him was like, I want to speak like this guy, but I don't have any money, and I just got this job with this company. Like I have to go bake muffins now. This is my calling because I don't have any money, But he took me under. Now I was 24 when I got licensed, and look, I had high school friends who went into mechanics. I had high school friends who went into like their PhDs, and I had friends doing all kinds of things. And the friends of mine who got into real estate at the age that I got into had a father or an uncle or a mother who was doing real estate already. They took them under their wings, and their career took off a lot faster than mine did, because they had that person who cared about them. Simon quickly became that person who I felt cared about me. And he was like, he used to tell me all the time, you remind me of myself when I was your age. I'm not going to tell you why I reminded him of him.
Well, hang on. We're going to come back to Simon, but you are going to tell a little bit about it. From this perspective. From this perspective.
Okay, so you have to understand, I was
high school to bar.
Yeah.
Who were you? Were you like I'm going to venture to say that you weren't like really a jock kind of guy.
No, I
in
wasn't
terms
a jock.
of like into sports
no.
and stuff like that, right?
No, I
like,
was never
I've seen you walk around, run around. Like that's not your forte.
I was never chosen first on sports teams.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Cool.
Yeah.
A. B. Were you on the chess club? Were you like what was your GPA? What was that?
Yeah, I would join the chess club, just because my friends were on.
From
it,
a social perspective. Yeah, got it.
I wouldn't win. I could win sometimes, but I'd never win the championship or anything. What was I? I'm not kidding. Like I was the class clown.
Okay.
I was the class clown.
Okay. Yeah.
I like to joke around. I found myself in the principal's office quite often.
So very similar to me.
Yeah, I didn't really.
Did you get into trouble for it though at home? Like what was that? I don't even think I've even know this about you. Like, so you get called in the principal's office.
Yeah. Yeah.
As many times as you did, I'm sure, because like I said, similar to me. What the hell happened when you went home?
Oh, so like nowadays, like if a teacher yells at a student, the parents will yell at the teacher.
Yeah.
My parents would yell at me, and they take the teacher's side all the time. They said you did this, then you did this. You're guilty.
Yeah.
I was the black sheep of the family because both my sisters are just very obedient, perfect people. Like they're just great, and I was just a lost cause.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember, oh my God, I remember when I told my parents that I'm quitting the muffins. You know, I told them, listen, I want to try real estate again. My mom was so disappointed in me. She said, "You're spitting a silver spoon from your mouth." $32,000 a year was a silver spoon from my mom. I'm sorry for anybody who makes $32,000 a year or less, but they didn't believe in me. I didn't really have the parents that pushed me to get into the entrepreneurial role. Like they just wanted more certainty,
which is surprising to me because Dad has a background, like he's a
My dad's a
chiropractor, man, and so
Yeah.
there's an entrepreneurial spirit with that.
Well, so when
did he work in his own? Like, did he work with other chiropractors?
No, he had his own two practices.
His own practice.
He has two practices. Yeah, but when it crushed him that none of his 3 kids are going to go into sciences, and we've just made that decision that we're not going to, because you need a degree to become a chiropractor. You need a degree to become a lawyer. You need a degree to become a chartered accountant. So once he realized that his only son wasn't following education and was getting into the business side of things, he wanted me to get a job with a corporate, company with benefits and just accept that sentence.
Do you think people in the sales industry, the guys and gals that do well in the sales industry, do you think there's a direct correlation in terms of how they were in high school, in the sense of like if they were kind of more class clownish, they did get into a little bit more trouble?
You know what? It's funny. I would love to see that stat. I would love to see that because I know a lot of the people that I grew up with, and I grew up in a little part of Markham that was pretty sheltered. I mean, we weren't bad kids. You know, we didn't do anything out of anything crazy. Nothing that was, illegal then. That's
sure.
Not,
it wasn't. You didn't do anything that got you into too much trouble.
But we grew up in a different time where we didn't have cell phones in class, and we didn't we had to be, I feel, a little bit more polite than today's generation. Like the kids, Gen A, Gen Alpha.
I have no idea what Gen it is. I'm lost. I don't even know what Gen I'm in. Like I'm 40.
Yeah, no, you're a millennial. You're a millennial.
Great.
Yeah, you're a millennial.
I guess that makes me cool then.
Almost a Gen X.
I'm 41, turning 42 in a
you're
month
on the cusp.
Okay.
You're like a Gen X millennial.
Yeah. I feel, you're taking me to a couple of different places because I do feel like that younger generation does also get like a bad rap, but at the same time, sometimes they deserve it in my eyes because I don't feel like they're willing to bring the coffees to the table. But on the flip side, I also feel like because they have some more choice now because of this device.
Agreed.
Right? And like the guys and gals around me, especially from the content people, it wasn't really like you were able to freelance and get gigs or jobs as easy as you can now.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, where our age group, I feel we're willing to, like if you tell somebody who's 40, 41, 42 and they and you tell them that you worked for the 10%, they'd be like, fuck, man, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense, man. You worked for free and you did bring coffees to them. That's how we got jobs back in the days,
Yeah.
But on the same side, on the flip side of that, you people in our age group, they're maybe a little slower to get on technology.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little tougher in that sense. But going back to the class clown stuff, the reason I brought that up, because I'm starting to see it more. I'm starting to actually see it. I don't have the stats. I don't even know if it, exists out there. But I'm starting to see, because the ones that are the exact opposite of that were really had a high grade point average.
Introverts.
Not necessarily. I don't know if I would call them introverts by any means. I think they have a tougher time in sales because you have to do things that are outside of the norm.
Yeah.
Meaning, I I can remember the first time you needed to make a phone call, you weren't really scared.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, that fear, you're like, yeah, because I'm kind of used to being called out in class.
Yeah. I thrive on it. I love it.
You know what I mean?
I loved it. I was always one that, like, I would never ask for the attention.
Yeah.
But once the attention was given to me, I would run with it. You know what I mean? I never wanted the microphone, but if the microphone came to me, I'd make the best out of it. You know?
Now, do you find that correlates for yourself personally in the social media world? Like, do you find doing videos or this type of setting tough?
No, not at all. To be honest, you make it very comfortable. I mean, I've been on other podcasts as well, and I just kind of be myself, and I pretend like the camera's not there, and I just go with it. So I don't find it tough at all to do this kind of content.
And in terms of how you've seen the business change now, 16 years is a long time, brother. Like that is.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot. You've been through a couple of markets. We'll touch on what we're going through right now in terms of the real estate market. But what are some of the major changes you've seen from a real estate agent's perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, we were spoiled the last, I would say, 10 years. We've been spoiled. I mean, you just put a sign on the lawn and the house will sell, as long as you price it properly.
We had a little bit of a blip, probably like mid 08 to like kind of 09-ish, like nothing like now, and I don't want to go into that right now, but
2008, 2009, I was licensed for 2 years. 2 years into the business, I didn't expect to have a career year, but I still remember Simon had his best year in 2009 when the entire global crisis went.
And sorry, when I meant a blip, I meant like it wasn't put a sign on the lawn and they were just selling as fast. But as real estate agents, I completely agree.
You're right. You're
I
right.
completely agree.
You're right.
These type of markets have an opportunity for agents to have their best years.
For sure.
Because there's so many people putting their feet up, right? I get that.
And so let's just talk about the years that we're into blip years and how you could get by in this business being a transactional realtor. But transactional real estate doesn't survive in markets like this. It always goes back to the relationships. And that's why it's funny, I'm going back to what you first said about how...
Right here, buddy. Build relationships, not transactions.
I honestly, I was raised with that mentality that like it's really the relationships that make you happy in life. It's not the money. People say money can't buy happiness. And your happiness is in your relationships, whether it's your work relationships or your home relationships or anything. If you have a problem at home, you're gonna bring that to work with you, And with clients, if you have an amazing relationship with a client, you're a lot more likely to get repeat and referral business from that person. So it's those realtors who can master that relationship aspect of the business who won't struggle as much as the transactional realtors when you have markets like this.
So for me, like when people talk about and I talk about it a lot as well, which is build relationships, not transactions. It sounds great.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm trying to do a better job at articulating it to the real estate agents and salespeople and entrepreneurs in general. In terms of, I think most people understand, okay, when you have a client, be more relationship oriented with them in terms of don't try to screw them, don't try to manipulate them, don't try to convince them, and just for the transaction. Okay? Easily
sense.
said. We're very common sense, in fact, right? And I think most agents understand it. Where I think real estate agents fail is what happens when the transaction does happen. Like it's complete now, it's done. And you did a great job in building the relationship while you were dealing with the client, selling their home, helping them with an income property, helping them with a pre-con, helping them with their first property. Where I think most agents, again, fail and so do the opposite of this. And this is what, I actually put up a post today on Instagram. It was exactly this. Like somebody was asking me at a talk I did after I came off stage. They were like, so what about the Google AdWords and stuff like that, right? And I want you to touch on that because I know you guys do a lot of that. And I think it's great. You need funnels to bring in leads. But I said that what I do is I do this format of a podcast for whatever long it's going to go. But I make sure I send it to my clients in an email, okay? I also make sure I chop it up and stay very relevant on social.
Yeah.
Now, people might not like the clip that they see or whatever it is, and maybe they don't comment, maybe they don't like, but at least I get the awareness when they're scrolling consistently. And I'm also trying to help them create wealth in real estate with consistent content around it, not just video content, but educational events. We make phone calls. We offer a free real estate concierge service. If they need a plumber, they need an electrician. What I'm trying to articulate right now for everybody who's listening, who's a real estate agent, you need to find ways to consistently keep that relationship simmering. Right? It's and not that I'm here to give any type of relationship advice, like in the form of husband, wife, life partners, all that kind of stuff. But if you don't care about a friend, you can't just say that you care about them. You actually have to show it.
Yeah.
Maybe finding out what they like to eat. Maybe finding out what ticks them off. Like checking in on them. You know, I think of my sister-in-law right now before this podcast. Her mother's not doing well, and I haven't spoken to her for a couple of weeks. And it's my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, and you know they don't live too far from me. But it was just a quick little check-in, which was like, I haven't heard from you in one of our family chats. I just want to let you know I'm thinking of you.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't even type it. I left a voice note so she can hear my voice and that it's not scripted. I just want to say I love you. And she wrote me back saying, it's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And this is not about me trying to tell you what I'm doing. It's what I want you to start to think of what you need to do moving into the next year, which is finding ways to build those relationships. Because in markets like this, where there is a dip and real estate is not sexy anymore.
No.
Right? It's not we used to call it real estate porn.
Yeah.
Because people used to just search real estate on Google more than porn.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to see the inside of this property. I want to think about investing.
Yeah.
You look at Google right now, it's not being searched as much.
No.
And so you're not getting those inbound emails. You're not getting the phones ringing as much. That if you're not doing something from a proactive perspective, you're going to be out of business.
Yeah.
Right? And so maybe you can touch on your business model, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because in the last couple of years, I haven't really we haven't spoken about actual business models. I just kind of have a surface level understanding of your business model. Did you guys focus a lot on Google AdWords recently, in the last couple of years?
We have, yeah.
Okay.
We have.
Am I wrong with what I say? Because I don't do Google AdWords, so I if I'm wrong, call me out.
Not at all.
Is Google is your emails not ringing as much, dinging as much because of
the conversion has dropped.
But okay, even before when you say conversion, are you saying conversion when you get on the phone with them, or conversion of people coming in?
No, the leads. We still get leads. We
Okay.
have no shortage of leads.
Okay.
It's just the conversations are different now.
Got it.
The conversations are so much different now. It's no longer order taking, that's what it was. Let's not sugarcoat it. People would get horny about a particular project. They would hear their brother, their sister, or somebody else is buying there. By the time they wrapped their head around it or connected with somebody on the phone that was knowledgeable enough to walk them through the pre-construction process, they missed out on that building. But, don't worry, we have another one coming. And they would eat it up, and they would jump on the other one without even knowing the location, without even knowing at what point of the process they're buying into. And they were buying anything. You could literally put up a project on any intersection in the GTA, and developers would get more worksheets than they had units to sell. Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
So
triple, quadruple the amount of worksheets.
And that's why, I was lucky because I got to see your business model, the relationship business model, the educational business model, and I also saw a transactional real estate model. Both were very successful in times of abundance. So we tried to create a kind of a hybrid model of both, where we had our Google ads, we had our things, but we made these people our friends. Now, when my team gets on the phone, I tell them, you're not going to sell somebody on the first call anymore. It's not like that. You have to get them to like you. You have to have charisma when you're speaking to people. If somebody tells you that they have a dog, in your follow-up call, mention the dog. Ask how the dog is. You know, just it's a personal. You got to show character. You got to show that you know who this person is.
Can you develop charisma?
Oh, it's really hard. It's really hard.
Like I've been told, and I that's my thing. I got some.
Yeah.
I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
A little bit.
I fucking know how much you have.
Yeah. No,
Okay. But do you think you can develop it?
It's tough, man. It's tough. I see a lot of realtors who, talking to them, they're really stiff people, but online they do their best, and you know what? I gotta hand it to them. Like if it's something that you work on and something that you're passionate about, I definitely think that there can be improvements. But I do really think that some of these people are just born with it.
100%. I think it's in DNA kind of thing, right?
You know?
But if you're listening right now and you're thinking, okay, shit, maybe I don't have the charisma, or you're looking at an Anthony Tabar, and if you're thinking that you need to have that type of charisma, I do know you don't need to.
You
know what I'm saying?
You don't need to. But
I think you need to smile more. That's when you said stiff. Like I wasn't sure what you meant by that, but to me, I quickly it landed with me because I'm thinking of watching salespeople my whole life, like real estate, the 20 years, 10 years now in sales and service above the real estate. So 3 fucking decades. Like there's a lot of experience, that I come to the table with for all the shit I suck at. Yeah. All of it. All of it.
I love that you're saying that.
All of it. 97% of things I can't do. Right. I can't spell. When I said GPA earlier, I was like, what the fuck does that stand for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to play it in my head for a while. Like I was like, oh, right. Let me take a wild guess at grade point average. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
it. That's
there's a lot. I know, right? But there's a lot. Like if
it.
you check my grade point average, I don't even know. Like I don't even think I ever. That somebody's ever told me. It would be really, really, really low.
Yeah.
But sales is something I know really well. Like I'm gonna
For sure.
I'm gonna come to the table. It's not cockiness. It's an abundance of confidence, experience. And the one thing I've come to realize is most people who answer a call or make a phone call, they're not smiling.
Yeah.
And people on the other line, they know.
Yeah.
Because if you think about anytime you've called like your phone carrier and to complain about a bill or whatever the hell you're calling them for, you know if they're happy or not on that other end, right? And when you take an inbound call or make an outbound call, you can change someone's state. You can change their day. You can change the feelings and the emotions that they're currently having just by starting off with a smile. It's not going to close 100% of people that you speak to, but it really increases the probability of making the connection. Because you said something earlier that I completely agree with, man. They need to like you. Now, before they like you, they need to know you. But if you're making outbound calls, you have the option of, you hopefully can get them to know you because they answer the call. Or maybe if you do a lot of content, that's a great way for people to know you.
It's a great way to display your character. Content is huge.
Well, and it lets people kind of siphon out who they want to work with or who they don't want to work with, which is great. But I think getting someone to like you is a skill that has to be worked on. And you talked about the dog, and because we talk about that all the time in our CRMs, like, and we're not perfect, obviously, but we're getting even better, like making notes of anniversaries, birthdays, like the basic stuff. Yeah. But the dog is the important one. Yeah. Because you speak to a pet lover and you mention their dog, even if they have kids. But you mentioned the dog, they're more happy about that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they're like, holy shit, man, you remember my dog's name? Yeah. And so that is an easy way to make the connection. And the art of building rapport, I think, has been lost. Yeah. Because this, man, when your team is talking to people on the phone and they're smiling and laughing, the other person on the other line is having at least a better time than they would if the person wasn't having fun. And I bet you're seeing the closing ratios jump up.
Yeah. Look, if you want to be good at this, if you want to be good at it depends on the business that you want. So if you want the transactional side of things, if you want the relationship side of things, either way, let's call a spade. You got to make calls. You have to be on the phone, right or wrong?
1,000%.
You know, so if you're gonna commit to that, if you know that the formula for being a successful real estate agent is doing a lot of deals, and how do you get a lot of deals? You got to make a lot of calls. You know, so that's the formula. Why not have fun with it? If that's what you've decided you're gonna do with your life, why not have fun with it?
Weren't you at some point having cigars in your pool in your backyard and making phone calls?
I have, yeah.
Do I faintly remember something like that?
Yeah, and my team,
you made it fun.
My team knows like my default lines. Like I can't tell you how many times we've called people and they're like, oh, can we call you back? We're at work. Hi, this is Anthony. You just called regarding Arcadia District condos in Etobicoke. How can I help you? Oh, you know what? It's not a good time. I'm at work. You know what? I love that you're at work because you have a condo to buy. Let me call you when you're not working. You know, because I want you to make as much money as possible, so you can buy this condo. Let me get back to you after 5. Is that okay?
Yeah. Like somebody's listening, saying, "Oh man, like what a line, whatever." But what I know you've done, is you're trying to throw a curveball.
I want to be different.
You want to be different. You want to be memorable. Because I have a funny feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong. I bet you like 50% of people chuckle.
Am I wrong? Counted. I haven't counted.
Okay,
Some people like it. Some people don't like it.
Exactly, right? But you have a shot at them laughing and chuckling about it. And now they're going to remember it. I bet you most people will be, out of the 50% that do chuckle, they're like, all right, yeah. Call me at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, sure. And then at 4 o'clock, when I call them, how was work? We've spoken before. Remember I called you and you were at work? You were working hard, right? It's just so that they can remember you, so that they can like you, and then you can display your knowledge of the real estate market and not sound like a robot from the beginning, and have some charisma. And I think that's going to be a major player until the herd comes back to the market.
Oh, I thought you were going to go until the robots take over.
No, robots are not. I think that this business will always be something that's a relationship business. I think that it doesn't matter how many AI machines come out. It doesn't matter how many, what are they called? The satellite realtors, the satellite offices that,
Oh, like the virtual ones.
Yeah, virtual offices. Yeah. I know people.
Like brick and mortar kind of thing.
Yeah, you can buy a house on your phone now. You don't even have to like go and see it. You just get the virtual tours.
I can't remember who said it to me a little while ago about that. The one of the main reasons I think that agents will be in play for a while, and I'm glad this is being recorded because I'm being completely honest. Like, this is not because I'm a real estate agent. I have enough confidence that if robots do take over and agents become obsolete, I'll do something else. I'll figure it out. So that's not where it's coming from, because I know somebody on TikTok is going to be like, the fucking idiot's a real estate agent. That's why he's saying this. But this is what I heard somebody say, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. One of the main reasons why I think real estate agents are going to be in play for a long time, not forever, but at least for a long time, is that the public needs someone to blame if something goes wrong. What do I mean by that? And what that person said to me that really resonated with me. See, if somebody buys a house or sells a house, right now, in the back of that home buyer and home seller's mind, they know that they can actually blame a real estate agent if something went wrong.
Yeah.
You can't fucking blame the internet.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Transaction goes wrong. There's no one to really be accountable, like as a person. You can't just blame Google and say, well, Google made me do it. And so I think that's why most people in the public will always veer for the near future wanting to work with a real estate agent, because they can say, no, it was Anthony's fault.
Yeah.
Right? Just having that in their back pocket, which is a good thing as a consumer. I think that's a good thing. And from a real estate agent's perspective, it's a good thing because you have to be ethical.
And accountable.
Yeah. Right? So I think it plays for both people, hence why I don't think any type of the robots will take over. I wanted to segue to something because, again, in the last 2 years, I don't know how you kind of roll. Like, I see you in the office now and you're doing your thing. You're always on the phone, having fun, joking around. And not to say that what I'm doing is the right way and the only way. It's just what works for me. Mm-hmm. I'm very structured in the terms of, from the perspective, of like my morning. Mm-hmm. My morning is quite structured. Like, I know I have to be at the office in and around where I'm setting up for the day at around 8 a.m. Because otherwise the day takes over. you know? And it's like from that time from 8 to about 11:30, 12, my stomach starts to rumble and I need to eat. But that 4 hours of mine is like all things lead generation, prospecting. What do I need to do? Who do I need to follow up on? Is there some video? Because for me, shooting videos is all about lead generation and prospecting. It's in that bucket. Again, I recommend that people do it because it's worked so well for me, but not to say that there's only one way to skin a cat, right? Are you similar to that, brother? Like, are you scheduled? Are you structured? Because again, I think it's important if you're not, that people understand there's different ways to do this, right?
100%.
You don't have to do it the Jazz way, the REC way. What's like, are you like, is it you wake up in the morning and it's like, fuck?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, every day is new, different for me.
Got it.
Lately, I've had a team member of mine. We try and meet each other at the office in the morning.
Hold each other accountable?
Yeah, trying to
get
get a little bit more structure in the day so that we can have more of a plan, more of But I'll be honest, for the longest time, it didn't work like that. You know, I had the luxury of being able to make 100 calls from literally 5 steps from my bed. I can go to my desk at my office. I would make phone calls without a shirt on. Like, I'm selling condos to people with no shirt on in my underwear. You know, so. But
not
that
on
was
Zoom though.
No.
Okay,
on
just
Zoom,
on a
I
phone
keep
call.
the camera
Got
off.
it.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I'd
So
make
they
sure
just saw your
not to
face.
get up.
They
Yeah.
just saw your face.
Yeah. But no, for the longest time, I didn't have that structure where I needed to be somewhere. I worked with what I had, and I made it work. So,
and that's because you just built a big client base over time, I guess, and so your connections.
16 years, and 16 years of bad jokes. Like, you're gonna make some friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not bad. You know what I wanted to say? One more thing is you asked me a question, and I just thought about it when you were saying this. Is that how do you find a successful realtor who you can attach yourself
like a mentor
to? You'll know who they are. You'll go online, search real estate. Just say it into your phone. Google will know you're talking about real estate, and you'll see some successful realtors.
But what is it? What? And not to cut you off. What deems them to be successful? Because my concern is if you go on social media right now, and you just scroll and you see agents.
There's tons of them. There's
tons of them from what they're showcasing, not necessarily actual hard facts of deals being done.
Well, I mean,
am I wrong with that?
You're not wrong at all. But I mean, you should be able to tell that with like spending a day with somebody. You know?
Yes, if you got to spend a day with them, yes. But I'm saying just if you're scrolling, Tabar, on social media, you'll see some agents like, with fancy cars. Sometimes they're theirs, and sometimes there's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. They dress the part. On the flip side, if you look at me, I look like a bum, some would say.
Right. Okay.
So,
I agree.
Right? So, right? Yeah. So you agree with my first one or the second one? Both?
Everything.
Everything.
I always agree with you.
What?
They ask for it. They ask for it. You are on social media asking people to post more. Laura, she's on social media, like she has the Laura show.
Yeah.
And she gets guests on, and she promotes actively posting, actively making content. You guys ask for it. There are other realtors who ask for it too. We're growing our team. Our team is growing. Come on in, join our team.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see the smoke through the fire. Or the fire through the smoke,
You'll
or
see
whatever.
the fire through the smoke.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I
You'll
mean?
see the fire through the
The trees through the woods.
Yeah,
Who knows?
between yourself and Laura, you guys really suck with some of the sayings. I'm just saying, like, I love you too.
Hey, I'm no Yogi Bara, Fact check that. Yogi Bara.
Is that the baseball player?
You like that? I know, thanks.
We know that.
Yeah.
Well, now you have to explain it. So go.
Yogi Berra, he was a baseball player.
I know
and
the
he came up
Yankees.
with, like,
Ain't over till it's over.
Yeah.
he was just a bunch. He had all the sayings.
He had all these.
Got it.
They don't make sense.
You got it.
Euphemisms? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Euphemisms?
Yeah.
Look, I didn't get to where I am by having a good thesaurus. You know what I mean? So I try to be myself, and that's it. But like I said, these teams are asking for more people. There's a plethora of teams you can join as a new agent to go and absorb what I absorbed or what you absorbed. Social media is one thing, but actually showing up every day and feeling like you have the opportunity to make a difference or to help out or to, that's a whole other thing.
No, you gotta, as a newer agent or even somebody who's more experienced, but now you got, for lack of a better word, beat up from the market. The best thing, in my opinion, to do is to get with the team and like have that culture of helping each other, doing things together.
Yeah.
One of the best things I got to see and experience in the last year, Tabar, it's probably about 13 months now. I had like 120 people, man, do this program that I just put out there, and it wasn't even like structured at the start. Mm-hmm. Big shout out to my first group of 8. They were the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
And they let us test a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But what I got to see is when these cohorts, these groups of 8 to 10 to 15 people came together in my office in the back there for 10 days straight. They were all working on their individual business.
Love that.
Nobody was sharing any business or leads or anything of that sort. But man, it was something cool that happened when one agent saw another agent make a phone call.
Yeah.
It's the old adage, right? I got 2 little boys, 10 and almost 8 now. It's monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And even as adults, sometimes you need to do that. And so if you're somebody who's experienced or maybe just going through some troubles in the market, get with an office where people show up. I didn't say much when we were going into this work from home nonsense stuff. Yeah. But from a team perspective, I knew it. There's no way my organization is going to grow with that. To me, it's just bullshit. There's no way that's not the culture I'm growing.
You know what?
I can't move to the next step.
Yeah.
And the next evolution of me with having people that are not around on a regular basis. Because the truth is, at least when you're around me for fucking 8 hours, I have the control of what's going in your ears. After you're gone in the day, I have no control. I don't know what you're watching. Nor can I control all that. But at least for 8 hours, I can make sure that it's a positive environment.
No, but even joining a brokerage is not enough. You had 8 like-minded people who wanted to improve themselves and had the put their ego aside and said, I'm not going to figure it out myself. I'm going to pay this guy for his time to show me the right way to do it so I don't waste my time and I can hit the road faster. I can get on that road faster. That's a blessing to be around those types of people. It will fast forward your learning exponentially.
Yeah, it cuts that learning curve, right?
100%. And you started with 8 little guinea pigs, and I'm so, you said, 120 people have taken this thing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Man.
Yeah, man, it's
the
really
amount
cool to
that
see.
You're giving back, you're starting a little army. Of people,
and then I'm not just even playing with words. I know they think that I gave them more than they gave me, but it's not even close.
Yeah,
1,000%. Because of them. The 120, I actually now know what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's amazing. You're going to be giving back.
I possibly couldn't have given you more than that.
Yeah.
You've literally helped me decide what I want to do for the rest of my life. Now, can that change? Obviously. But I'm sitting here right now knowing, oh no, I want to do this forever.
Yeah. And
this is so much fun watching you guys work. Individually for your own business, but doing it, it's just a really cool sight to see. I need to get to something with you though,
I know.
Because we could be here for a few hours, and
I know.
It's funny. I'm gonna have you back.
Yeah.
Okay, 100%.
Yeah, we got to talk again.
We're gonna talk about nobody won't leave right now because we're gonna talk about the market, but I'm gonna definitely have you back at some point where we're just gonna go. At that time, we're just gonna even go longer form.
Sure.
So I foresee the podcast changing a little bit, and maybe I'm just putting my thoughts out to the world.
Evolve, man.
Well, I appreciate
Another
that.
thing I was going to say, I was on with Austin Hay. Remember Austin Hay?
Austin,
Rise?
yes. Austin Yay.
Okay. Austin Hay.
Austin Yay.
Hey.
Okay, sure. You were on his podcast or he was on yours?
He was on yours.
Yes.
And I was
you
with
were
you.
with me.
Yeah, I was with you.
Yeah.
He's the wholesaler.
Yes.
Are you sure you remember?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We were actually in the old studio.
Yeah, in the old studio.
Yes.
You're right. Before they did the renovations.
We did Zoom.
No, he was there.
He was there, sure.
No, he wasn't there.
That's what I'm telling you.
You're right. You're right. He wasn't there. He wasn't there.
He was Zoom.
He wasn't
He
there.
was Zoom.
He was
Yeah.
Zoom.
Okay.
You and I were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You and I were there in person.
Yes.
Yes. But what were you going to say about that?
No, because I've watched this podcast evolve, man. I've
Yeah.
seen you. I saw you sharing boardrooms with me to all of a sudden exploding into this like content creating machine, man. You're nobody's like you.
Well, look, I mean, I've been doing it all by myself.
Structure, morning,
I've been doing
are
it
you
all
kidding?
by myself. No fucking team. No fucking no. I am. No, it's really that's the other cool thing to see,
cut
man.
you
When
off.
you
I
bring
cut
some
you
people
off.
together, though. No, you didn't cut me off. When you see like the team that actually starts to like really buy in. But anyways, I was saying about the evolution of the podcast next year. Why I'm going to bring you back because I'm going to start going longer tail. Like it's even going to be longer form is what the word I was looking for. Like I want to go where there's no fucking cutoff. Like you
Yeah.
just go. No rhyme, no reason.
Love it.
Because now and the real reason I'm doing that and the real reason it's like really, I know myself. I start feeling something first and then I start talking about it out loud.
You haven't even swore yet.
Who didn't?
You haven't said one swear word.
Oh, I think I said 18.
Did you?
Probably, yeah.
I can confirm you swore a lot today.
Yeah, that's the beautiful, beautiful voice of Nikki. I'm going to go a lot more long form.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to notice other podcast hosts obviously coming out now, and as they should. We're teaching people how to do it. We're telling people to do it, and I love it.
Yeah.
But I always like to stay, a little further ahead. I like to push myself out of my comfort zone. And my comfort zone is I can do an hour Q&A style session. Like, hey, I ask you some questions and we interview you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't prep for that.
Right.
I don't need to prep for it because it's second nature. It should be. I'd be an idiot if I didn't get comfortable with it after doing it for 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah.
230 something odd episodes. But now I want to kind of go long form, which is like, again, no rhyme or reason. So I guess that's my plug for people for 2024 because we are going to go down that path. Stats just came in, not real estate market stats. What came in recently, like literally I think yesterday, is the fact that Canada's now officially in a recession.
Yeah. Saw that.
The exact definition, for anybody who's wondering, is 2 negative growths in GDP consecutively in 2 quarters.
You got it.
Okay. And I want to make sure people got it.
Yeah,
Right? Because there's a lot of fucking thoughts out there on
Right,
what it was. They
right.
keep moving the goalposts. They
Right.
meaning the Canadian government moved it. The American government moved it.
Yeah.
They moved the goalposts. We're not in a recession. No, you're in a recession.
Yes.
This happened about a year ago.
Okay.
10 months ago. Because none of the politicians want to say we're in a recession on their own watch.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is a slightly different recession we're going through in the way that numbers are playing out.
Okay.
And what I've saw in the actual numbers, employment is at the highest it's ever been in a very long time.
Employment.
Like people are employed. They
Yeah.
have jobs. Our unemployment
Yeah.
is low,
Got it.
to say it a different way.
Yeah.
Values of homes, they haven't increased in most areas. They've kind of just stayed stable. There's been some, 0.2% decrease in some markets across the country. Nothing significant. And I heard our president and CEO of Royal LePage Canada, returning guest, Phil Soper, say it he's been here a few times, but he said it on kind of his address to the company, to the organization, which is Royal LePage. He said he was reminded of a saying, and I know we were saying sayings earlier, but a recession is when your neighbor's out of a job, and a depression is when you and the neighbor are out of a job. So it's a funny time we're in terms of the economy. What are you telling your clients in the GTA, Greater Toronto Area specifically, when they're calling you, which I know they are, because 16 years, high producing real estate agent you've been, your team's very high producing, and I would be remiss if we didn't give a big shout out to your business partner.
Imran, yeah,
Imran.
man.
Big
guy.
shout out to
Great
Imran
guy.
Alum. And next
Yeah.
time we have him, like, we'll do maybe a dual one. We'll
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
it out. Big
Amazing.
shout out to
Love
Imran.
that. Yeah.
Love that guy. Very high producing team. A lot of clients. And I know some of your clients are calling you and saying, bro, like, my investment property, I'm losing some money
Yeah.
on it on a monthly basis.
Yeah,
Not
guilty.
necessarily
Yeah,
the
so
value.
I'm one of them.
Okay, great. You
Yeah.
invest. What are you telling these guys, man?
Look, it's what we've been saying for the longest time. Look, it's not just me. It's not just real estate. Any type of investing, don't lose your money. Don't lose your money. There's a big shift right now happening in wealth from the impatient to the patient. Like, look, I have no control over the interest rate. Occupancy fees are through the roof. If you bought pre-construction in 2019, 20, and you're getting your keys today, you're wishing you didn't buy that thing 4 years ago, 3 years ago. You're wishing you didn't. Who wants to spend $140,000, $160,000 and still have to service that investment by $1,500 to $2,000 a year? Who wants to do that? But
$1,000 a month.
a month.
sometimes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Did I say a year or a month?
You said year,
Month.
but it's okay. Yeah.
Who wants to? Who would sign up for that? Buy that NFT stuff.
Bitcoin.
NFTs.
NFTs, yes, and
art.
Bitcoin, and
yeah.
yeah.
You know. Anyway, but what do we always say? Buy with the long term in mind. Don't over leverage yourself. Don't buy with the intentions of selling on assignment. Buy with the intentions of closing. You know. Buy with the intentions of closing. Why do you think they did that stress test? Look at the stress test. Look at the number we had to qualify back when interest rates were at 2%, and we were like, why would we have to qualify at this? It will never go like this. It would never go. Well, look, lo and behold, it did. You know? So anybody of my clients who bought and is coming up to closing now, if they talk to me, if we became friends, I would have made sure that they understood not to buy more than they can afford. I would have made sure. So thankfully, none of my clients are in distress assignment situations right now. I don't have any assignment sales up right now. Is it negative cash flow? Yeah. Is it going to hurt for the next couple of years? Yeah. But we're a baby. Toronto, the GTA, Canada, we're a baby in this world compared to other major metropolitan cities like countries that have been around a lot longer than Canada has, and Toronto is the hub. It's the heart of this country.
Financial heartbeat, I call it.
Financial. Like so we have so much more growth. You just gotta weather through this storm. Now, for those of you guys on the fence or investors who are sitting there thinking about getting into the market during this type of crisis that we're in, because again, I didn't come up with this, but Warren Buffett says, when there's crisis, there's opportunity. Buy when everybody's afraid. Sell when everybody's greedy. You know, this is a time where everybody's afraid. So are there opportunities out there? Yeah. You know what? We just met as a team yesterday. Imran is great at analyzing there's so much inventory out there right now in terms of pre-construction. And there aren't very many projects I can stand behind right now. But we found a few. We actually found a few where if you analyze the data, if you analyze the current value of existing real estate versus what a builder is charging with the incentives they're offering and the deposit structure, there are still deals out there that make sense, pre-construction wise. In resale, there are amazing deals out there right now. There are like you're buying at 30% off of what it was, 2 years ago. If you rent it out, will you have positive cash flow? Will you be neutral? Not even close. You're going to be negative. Absolutely. But if you just sit down with somebody who knows what they're talking about and you understand that $500 a month negative cash flow really is only $6,000 a year, and you think of leverage, and I mean, I don't want this to turn into a lesson. Like we should all know this, that
I can tell you 99.999% of people don't know it. I can tell you this out of experience.
So it's so $6,000. If I have to put from my pocket $6,000 a year, but what I bought goes up even just 1% per year. So let's just say we buy a $500,000 condo, and I have to put $6,000 of my own money into this $500,000 car, which I didn't spend $500,000. I put down $100,000. Plus closing costs, call it $120,000 once you're in the door. Now you have the keys, you have a tenant in there. I put $120,000 of my money, and I have to service this thing by $6,000 a year. If the property value goes up 1% that year, you've just made $5,000 on that thing. Okay, yeah, negative cash flow. But if you take a history of appreciation, that 1% year won't last very long. You're going to see a 6%, a 7%. The average is what now?
Well, if you look at the last 40 years in the GTA, you're taking out the outlier / anomaly of 2021.
Yeah, COVID. Let's
take that out because
COVID.
That actually is 21%. Nonsense, stupid, way too much. Taking that out, you're at 7.2% year-over-year compound growth over the last 40 years in the GTA.
Right. So with all of this immigration happening, with all of this lack of supply you're reading about, I'm not coming up with this stuff. With all of this, with the laws of economics saying that supply and demand dictate prices, that if there's low supply and high demand, what's the only solution is prices are going to go up. Do you really think that we're going to see very consecutive years of 1% growth per month? I'm bullish. I'm in the business. I don't think so. And I have stats that I wish I could show you right now, but I don't have my computer. But if you ever wanted to, I'm sure Jas has access to these stats as well. We can show you that you can analyze the real estate values in any region of the GTA, Halton, Peel, Durham. We can analyze them by quarter by quarter. Every quarter we get real estate stats, and we can show you the trends and how real estate over the long term, you'll never lose.
It's why I say in business, in real estate, in your relationships, take it from a 10-year window perspective, because there will be ups, there will be downs in all three of those things. And every 10 years is, if you can have the long-term mindset of 10 years, you will generally win. In real estate, we know it. There's so many facts, black and white. In business, if you start to think about growing a business in the next for the next 10 years, you'll be willing to invest money in certain places of the business, staff, yourself, technology. You'll also have that mentality of building relationships, because you're not trying to just make transactions happening for the now. You're not just trying to stay, oh my God, I just got to stay above water. It's like, no, man, I'm doing this for the next 10 years. So let's invest into that CRM. Let's invest into that technology. Yeah. Let's make sure that we give, something that we do. Just came to me right now. Laura, on our academy side, as well as on the REC side, she meets with our staff every month, one-on-one. Not to talk about your performance, not to talk about what you could do better. Talk about your life. Nikki, you're a student of Laura's meetings for once a month for the last 13 months.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, 12, 13 months.
Yeah.
Has it made an effect in your growth in the organization, as well as just from a personal perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've probably had some of the most growth in the past 12 months.
And why do you think that is? Because I've never even asked you this question, because I'm not part of those meetings.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you get to, it's almost like the therapist chairs that you have there, right? Like it does sort of feel like a therapy moment where you are able to just be yourself. And Laura's a great listener. And I think it just comes down to like the comfort of being yourself at work. Is probably one of the biggest things for personal development, I think.
Most people would say that's a bad use of her time. That's probably about 15 hours actual time a month, but then she probably has to think about what she's going to, bring up from the last meeting and then have her post notes. I mean, it's a lot of time invested, But you're not going to do that if you have a mindset of, I'm only going to try to have this business for 2 years. It's because the mindset is, no, we're going to have this for fucking 10 years minimum. We have to do this because we don't want to see, like, we want to know what's happening with our staff and how can we reverse engineer things and how can we make changes. So anyways, to your point, buddy, real estate is definitely like that. Is so many examples of dips in a year and all that kind of garbage. But when you look at it in that 10-year window, 10-year window in the GTA, values have doubled on average for the last 100 years. They've doubled every decade. I'm on record to say this right now. In 2033, so 10 years from now, 2033, values will double from where they are right now. Which sounds like I'm on crack.
Yeah.
Because average price right now in the
sure.
GTA is 1.1.
Yeah.
Am I off there?
And I don't even care if you buy if you buy when it's high.
Yeah.
And you sell when it's low.
Yeah.
I don't care if you do that. If you fuck up.
Yeah.
And you buy at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Whenever the wrong time is.
Yeah.
And you wait 10 years, you'll still be fine. You'll still be okay. You won't make as much as the person who timed it properly, but you're still not going to lose money. You'll still be up from where you were 10 years ago.
And that's the magic of it, especially because of the whole leveraging aspect. Tabar, we can go on.
I know. I just want to add one more thing.
Please
Nick,
do.
You have a really nice voice, man.
Jazz does?
Thank you. I
No,
think
Nick.
I've also got a little bit of a stuffy nose, so it's adding to the bass.
I didn't even notice until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Sorry.
Nikki-
I had
It's
to
why
say
Nikki
that.
has a
Talked
mic.
about this yesterday.
It's why he has a mic.
Yeah. He should have a camera on him too.
I got a voice for radio. Let's
He
keep
has,
it there.
more of a voice of radio.
Tabar, again, as I said, now for the third time, I'm going to have a part 2.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
sure.
Definitely. I think I might be lying down this time for the
100%.
therapy session. I could talk to Laura.
100%. Go on. I'm sure we'll get it in the shot.
Is this a first? Just give me a
Can
cushion.
confirm you're the first person to lie
no,
down
it's
on that
okay, it's
couch.
okay.
Brother, what's your favorite platform in terms of social media? Because that's the one that we'll make sure we send everyone to in the links in the descriptions. Is it a team one? It could be anything, man. Whatever it is.
Yeah, let's go with Instagram.
Perfect.
We'll go with the you can find at the Condo Corner at the Condo Corner.
At the Condo Corner is the Instagram
At the
page.
Condo
Perfect.
Corner.
And you guys got a
at
website?
Anthony Tabar.
You guys got a website
We
there?
do have a website, yeah.
TheCondoCorner.com?
CondoCorner.ca.
.ca. I apologize
.ca.
for our Canadian friends. We keep it real like that. It's a .ca. The CondoCorner.ca.
Correct.
Awesome, brother. Again, have yourselves an awesome rest of the year.
Thank you very much.
We will do this again. We'll bring on the partner as
Yeah.
well. We'll fuck around. Maybe we'll bring on Simos or Laura or whatever. We'll
love
do
that,
our
yeah.
thing. I
We
really
should have a
wanna
drink for the
you.
holidays as well,
Guaranteed.
coming up.
Guaranteed we will. Guaranteed we will. I love you, brother. Thank you
love
for
you
doing
too.
this
Thank
with
you so
me.
much, man.
Really means a lot, man. Thanks a lot.